Yo guys, what's up? It's Bursnator here and welcome to another video blog. This one is a really good one. We're talking about mindset. Specifically, we're talking about one of the most important traits that you need to cultivate if you want to reach your fitness goals, and that's patience. Fitness is a long-term game, okay? Like, even if your short-term goals only take like 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, that's still a couple of months down the road, 3 to 5 months, maybe even 6 months. And that's just the short-term goal. Long-term goal, if you want to look like, your favorite celebrity or an athlete or something like that, you're probably going to be working out for a lot longer than that. I mean, that's not to depress you or anything like that, because you will see changes along the way. You will like how you look. You're going to start seeing things that make you happy. But to reach the end goal is going to take some time. You got to be patient. If you're doing everything right, your typical rates of fat loss, you're looking at 1 to 2 pounds a week. For muscle gain, it's like 1/4 pound to 1/2 pound, and that's for guys. Girls are going to be a lot slower than that. So you got to understand that it's going to take a while. You're going to have to relax. You have to learn to enjoy the process. Because the problem happens when people are so focused on the end goal that every single day on the journey to reach the end goal is painful. They're just doing it because they want to be there, but they're not there. It's stressful. It hurts, that tension inside because they're unhappy with how they are right now. The problem is that creates this disconnect between reality and what you wish reality was. It's much better. You're going to make much better decisions. You're not going to be irrational and illogical if you accept your reality. You accept what's happening right now in the moment and say that you're just going to keep working because you want to improve that reality. But the first step is to accept that reality. It's huge. So there's a little exercise that I came up with, or I think I came up with. Maybe somebody else did. I don't know. I don't know about it. I call it the itch awareness exercise. So the next time you feel an itch, like if you feel an itch on your arm or something, then I want you to just notice it. Don't scratch it. Just notice that you have the itch. And then I want you to think about what the itch actually feels like the physical, just what the itch feels like. Then I want you to kind of separate the fact that you want to scratch it and you're not scratching it. That wanting to scratch it, that's the mental disconnect. The reality is you have an itch. If you just accept that you have an itch, then it's a little uncomfortable, but it's really not that bad. It's just a little bit of an itch. But if you want to scratch it and you can't, then it's 10 times worse. That itch becomes the worst thing in the world. You just you're fidgeting, tension, just gotta scratch it, god damn it. So separate those two, learn to understand it, because it's the same thing with fitness. And when you start to develop that awareness between the separation between that mental disconnect and the actual physical thing in reality, then the whole world starts to look a little bit different to you. You start to understand how your mind works a little bit. Taking that analogy to the fitness, basically it would be where you are right now that you're unhappy with, it's not that bad. Sure, you wish it was better, but it's okay, it's not that bad. But the fact that you're not where you want to be, the fact that you wish you were here and you're here, that disconnect is what makes it so fucking painful. So you gotta let that go. You gotta relax, accept where you are, enjoy the process, and then you can start making good strides towards your goal. So that brings me to my next point, that fitness needs to be on the back burner. Fitness is, because it is such a long-term thing, it's not something that you can just stay 100% focused on all the time. If you do, you're going to end up either overthinking it, program hopping or something like that, doing something stupid. But instead, if you just put it on the back burner, focus on something else. Just do what you need to do, but don't really think about it. Just kind of follow the process and let it be what it is, accepting that reality. My most successful clients are usually the ones who are very busy in their life. They have tons of shit going on. They just take the program, they figure out what they need to do, and then they do it. They don't think about it too much. They just do it. And they got amazing results. On the other side of the thing, we have the clients who typically do, worse. They're in their heads all the time. They're overthinking. They don't have anything really going on. They're just constantly looking at their fitness, constantly tweaking every tiny thing, trying to optimize things that don't need to be optimized. And they end up not getting good results because they end up program hopping or adding extra things they don't need because they're thinking too much. They're not letting it go. And that's what if you want to, get good results, you need to take your thoughts away from fitness. Just follow the process and trust the process. Because the thing is, if you're trying not to think about something, then it actually becomes harder to not think about it. And you constantly have to keep trying to like push it away, keep using effort and energy and willpower to basically try to push that thought away. But it's way easier if you just replace that thought with something else, because now you're focused on the other thing, and the thing you're trying to avoid just goes away. So instead of just not thinking about fitness, switch your mindset and start thinking about other things. Start, filling your time with, instead of like thinking all the time about fitness, fill that time with something else, hanging out with friends, hanging out with family, watching movies, playing video games, something like that. And, if you're one of the top guys, like a lot of the top guys on my newsletter do this, they will focus on self-improvement. They'll start to like learn new skills, improve their career, increase their personal value, stuff like that. If you want to get on the newsletter, I have a lot of stuff like that too. I'll put a little link over here for you. And those top, so they're focusing on other things in their life. They're not focusing on fitness anymore, and that ends up helping them, hugely in the long run, because they're not focused on the fitness, and so it's just kind of, they're following the process. They're not overthinking it. They're not overanalyzing it. They're just letting it happen, and then before they know it, it's 12 weeks later, and they're ripped to shreds. At a certain point, thinking more about fitness is counterproductive. Really let that sink in for a minute. At a certain point, thinking about your fitness is counterproductive. You have to put some thought in. You have to get to that point where you know what you're doing, you're making sure you're doing the right things, and you're moving forward. But after that, you gotta let it go. You gotta just follow the process. Because more thinking is just gonna screw you up. Last point I want to leave you with is a experiment that researchers did. I think it was back in the 1970s, maybe. I'm not entirely sure on the date. They took a bunch of kids, I think 4-year-olds, and they took them through this experiment that they called the Marshmallow Test. They would put the marshmallow on the table, and they say, I'll give you this marshmallow now if you want it. But if you wait, I'll come back in a few minutes and I'll bring you a second marshmallow. And then they studied what the kids did. And some of the researchers are kind of cruel. They like pushed it to like 20 minutes before they came back. But some of the kids waited. Some of the kids were able to last the whole time with that marshmallow staring them in the face. They were able to wait and say, I want to wait because I want 2 marshmallows. I don't want 1 marshmallow. I want 2. So they studied and they saw what happened. Kids who were successful, who waited the 20 minutes, they would distract themselves. They'd like put their hands over their eyes. They'd like wander off in thought. They'd like make games, play with themselves, stuff like that. And they were able to wait. They knew that they wanted this marshmallow. They knew that it was, they felt that agony of not having the second marshmallow and also wanting the one right in front of them. So they distracted themselves. They pulled away. They said, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to think about something else. But the ones who didn't succeed, those were the kids who basically stared at that fucking marshmallow and they were like, I want that goddamn marshmallow. I want it. I want it now. And they couldn't have it now because they had to wait for that second one. But eventually, that willpower started to fade, that they using this energy constantly trying not to eat it. Eventually that fades. And they get to the point where they say, fuck it, I'm gonna eat the marshmallow. And they eat the marshmallow, and now they didn't get 2. It's the same thing with your fitness, okay? Are you the type of kid, I want you to ask yourself this question, are you the type of kid that is gonna stare at that marshmallow and just stare it down, stare at your fitness goals and be like, I want it, God, I want it so bad, I want it so bad. So much so that you end up eating the marshmallow or trying to do something with your fitness goals that fucks you up in the long term? Or are you going to be the type that says, I know that if I wait, if I distract myself and do something else and just follow the process and just let it go and relax, that I'm going to get better results. I'm going to get 2 marshmallows. I'm not going to get 1, I'm going to get 2. Ask yourself that question, really think about it, because it's a conscious decision. You can choose to be the second type of kid. Which type of kid are you? Think about it.